Hello everyone, I'm Rafael Alvarez and this is Alvarez Metalworks. So today what we have going on is part 4 of the tow project or tow rig project. And as you can see here, we got some time-lapse video. I'm starting to build the sleeper cab part of the structure and just getting some things done. I'm going to limit the time-lapse in my yapping, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit of it, and then we're going to get straight into where I left off with this project on in part 4, and hopefully try to speed this up. There's a lot of work being done that I don't necessarily think that you guys want to watch all the nitty-gritty details on. It's a long project, and it is what it is. So basically, let me kind of walk you through all of this stuff. What I'm doing is I'm laying out I'm starting with the bulkhead, I guess, for lack of a better term, the front wall on the sleeper. I'm starting with that as my base, and I'm actually using the drop section where the flatbed portion meets the sleeper, where it drops down, is a jig, I guess you will, to be able to make sure that that is the proper width, and for the front wall as well as the back wall. I'm going to stand them up, and I'm going to connect the dots basically. The biggest part of this build and the most difficult part of building the sleeper is the squareness of it, because I'm not squaring up one wall, I'm squaring up 4 walls and a ceiling. And I use some diagonal bracing on some of the corners. I'm using a ratchet strap to try to keep it in place. The more structure I put in there, the stronger it gets, obviously. And all in all, it's just time consuming. It's one of those deals where you absolutely cannot rush through it. If you start rushing through this type of these types of details, you're going to run into major problems in the end. And sure, you'll be able to work around them, but it's going to be things that people notice. Stuff being dramatically out of square is a major problem. They look down the side of it and they're like, hey, something's kind of strange. What's going on there? For example, I picked up this ambulance from a company I used to work with that sold ambulances. And, not to name names, but there was 4 different manufacturers that we dealt with all the time as far as ambulance manufacturers, and there was one in particular that chose to weld the entire structure of their boxes, and very, very strong, very well built ambulances, but there was a lot of things in those ambulances that were absolutely not square. We'd get them in, the customers would want us to build new shelves and do some things, and close off areas and stuff like that. And I learned real quickly that I can't trust anything I couldn't trust anything to be square. And it was almost every occasion I would have to build off of crooked lines, and it was difficult and time consuming, and it is what it is. But with that being said, I don't want my project to be that way. I want my project to be as square as possible and make sure that I don't have those issues. So, and I encourage you guys to do the same. It is time consuming, but it's well worth it in the end. Anyways, let's wrap this up, and we'll get on to the last portion of this video where I explain where I'm at and where I'm going. Hello everyone, so I'm back, and as you can see, I got a ton more work done to the sleeper outside of what you saw in the time-lapse portion of the video, and that's because this has not been just one day. The time-lapse was shot in just part of a day, and then I worked another day after that, and now we're a whole week later and another day after that. So I got a lot done. I still got a lot more to do. Don't get excited about the sheet metal on the bed yet. That's just laying on there. We got some windows over here that I wanted to show you guys real quick. The smaller one here is the rear windows. There's going to be 2 of those. The other ones are in that box. I've had them for a long time. And this windows will be the side windows. They open up just a small portion here on the bottom. These windows are actually door windows on an ambulance, actually multiple ambulances. and these were rear door windows out of an ambulance. These are going to be horizontal here on the back wall, the smaller ones. And the big ones, I actually changed them. Originally, and you saw in the very beginning of this video in the drawing, they're located in the rear section of the sleeper. I moved them all the way forward, and I mean all the way forward. I did that because of the sleeper itself, the bed in there. The chairs, you know, because I've got some seats. I got 4 third row seats out of a Mercedes R350 wagon that fold flat, and they're all going to sit side by side like one big bench seat across the back wall. And when they fold down, I'm going to have a bed that folds out on top of them. Now, I didn't want that bed to cover up any windows. So I'm still planning on how I'm going to attack that situation. But moving that window all the way forward was part of the solution for it. I'm not going to go into details just yet because, you know, I'm still brainstorming on that. But I needed to open up my options of what the possibilities were on how to deal with that. The bed will be 75 inches long and 48 inches wide. It'll have a 6-inch memory foam mattress mounted to it. So everything's going to be all upholstered, and everything's going to look fantastic inside, I promise. And just because the interior in this thing is my chance to show you guys what I'm capable of doing there. And my attention to detail with that stuff. The sheet metal you're seeing here on the bed is just sitting there. There's 3 sheets of the 18 gauge for the sheathing on the sleeper, and then there's a sheet of 1/8 inch that I'm going to actually be using on the bed that I just laid on there so I can trample around on it and get a feel for how strong it was, and everything's great. As far as the framework, I've got a little bit more work to do here on the rear wall. A vertical piece here and a vertical piece here in the window, and then the rear walls are done. Oh, and a horizontal piece at the seam where the sheet metal will be at. The roof, vertical piece, I mean a piece here and a piece here. All the studs in the roof line up with the studs on the rear wall. I did that for structural reasons and for measurement reasons. I want to make sure that when it comes time for me to run wires and things like that, that I know exactly where all the studs are at. And when I'm mounting the interior panels. So, sidewalls, I only have the windows framed out. I still need to put a stud here and above the window, and I need to put 3 studs here on this section of the wall. I have a little bit of an issue with being on-centered. You know, I want to go 12 inches on center, and this section here doesn't allow me to do that all the way down, and then the sleeper itself doesn't fall evenly at 12 inches. You know, it doesn't divide up into 12 inches evenly. So what I think I'm going to do is go off of this stud and measure 12 inches on center, and that oddball one will just sit really close to this back corner. Another reason why I kind of like that idea is because this back corner needs to be super, super strong, okay? And we'll talk about that at the end of this video, but I'm trying to strengthen up this back corner. It's already very strong, but the stronger I get it, the better. And like I said, we'll talk about it at the end of the video. Kind of got to get a little bit of a disclaimer. Anyway, the floor structure is all framed out with the exception of these 3 pieces on that end, okay? Outside of that, the floor is done, and the header, or the bulkhead wall, whatever you want to call it, the front wall, I'm probably going to put 2 or 3 pieces here in the front. I'm going to get a feel for it. That'll be the last thing I do if I decide to do that. I don't think it's really necessary, but if I do it, it'll be the very last thing if I just have some material left over. With that being said, that's pretty much it. I'm going to get some work done tomorrow and definitely try to get all the framing done. Hopefully I can get a little bit more than that done. The next step after all the framework's done is to start working on the body mounts. I haven't done that yet. So here's the disclaimer, the thing I wanted to talk about. There's a couple of people on YouTube that are in the comment section, and I know there's trolls all over YouTube, but I don't think this one in particular is a troll. The other one I don't know anything about. He just kind of popped up out of the blue. He's probably a friend of the one, I don't know. Anyway, he keeps commenting and making a suggestion about me getting a Kenworth tractor trailer sleeper cab. He's questioning the build quality and the structural integrity of this build. You know, and quite frankly, I understand your concerns. I don't know what your background is as far as engineering or building things like this. I don't know, and I'm not going to question you, but please don't question me. I'm not a dummy. I've built many, many things. Hell, I've stretched the Mercedes that I got the seats out of. I stretched that 21 inches with me and one coworker, and it turned out phenomenal. I wish I could have shared that project with you guys, but my work does not want me to share photographs of that because they don't want people to see how we built it, because they don't want people to replicate it because they're the only ones. But you know, I know how to do this stuff. And I know what's strong and I know what's not strong, and I have a goal in mind, and the biggest goal in mind is to make sure that this meets all my size requirements, which are very, very critical, as well as being lower cost, not low cost, but lower cost, as cost effective as possible and as lightweight as possible, while making sure that it is strong as possible. You know, it's a fine balance between being underbuilt and being overbuilt when you're trying to get that perfect weight to strength ratio, I guess you can say. But the big thing with why I don't have a sleeper cab on here is the fact that I wanted to build something myself. There's a sense of pride when you build it yourself. And buying a sleeper cab and bolting it on here, and believe me, I thought about it. It's just not what I wanted. For a couple reasons. I've seen some pictures of them. I think it wasn't the look that I wanted. And the biggest reason is this needs to go outside of there when it is done. And right now it looks like it's too low. I'm going to have to push that door open to its maximum, hold it up, and it will squeak out by like 2 inches on top. So, a sleeper cab wouldn't have ever cleared that, so that's another reason. As far as the structural concerns and things like that, everything's going to be fine. I've thought about tires blowing out. You mentioned that. I thought about that before I even started building this, when I started looking at, okay, how big do I want the sleeper cab to be, and so on and so forth. So, with that being said, just sit tight, enjoy the videos. I promise you, if you have any concerns about structural integrity, they'll go away by the time this video is done, okay? There's a lot of aspects to this build that I just don't have time to talk about and go into detail about in each and every video, so that everybody can know that I know what I'm doing. You know, I plan things out meticulously, even to the point of materials used. I mean, you see that little pile of metal right there? That, plus a piece of metal here on the ground, that triangular piece here, one that I knocked off on the floor, and that one there, is the extent of the waste that I have on this project so far. Okay? It's pretty damn good. And it's because I do a lot of planning and pre-thinking and trying to go over all the scenarios possible. And I do this in the build design as well. You know, I'm thinking about potential crashes, tires, losing a tire, the way the water runs down the walls, you know, everything. I'm thinking about those things. And I can't go over all of those details with you, because I literally spend weeks and thinking about this stuff. You know, I go to sleep and I'm dreaming about it. So just be confident that I know what I'm doing. It'll be all fine. Enjoy the videos, and I'll talk to you guys later. Remember to subscribe, comment, like. Go check out roarksupply.com. Use coupon code METAL. Get 10% off anything you order from them. They've been a huge help on this project as far as making sure that I had some supplies that were necessary to do this build, and I can't thank them enough for that. So please show them a little bit of support. They got good prices to begin with, and that 10% discount is going to save you a ton of money, I promise you. So go like me on Facebook if you haven't already. The link's down in the description. And that's pretty much it. Talk to you guys later.